JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Tuesday, June 3rd, 3:14 on this fine afternoon. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from the S&P in the green. Another, I wouldn't call it a similar session to yesterday. It's just that we're about up 0.5% here into the last 45 minutes of trading day. Just remarkable stuff. I mean, you take a look, yields are higher again today. I mean, unlike yesterday, the VIX is lower, but not much in the way of headlines and catalysts. We had the JOLTS report at 10 o'clock actually showed more jobs open than expectations. So that's despite the whole tariff situation, what have you. And then just more back and forth stuff. So, uh, you had I always cross my fingers. You had the White House briefing at 1 o'clock. No huge surprises there. And it looks like China and U.S. President Trump's going to talk to Xi Z, however you pronounce it. So that'll probably happen sometime later this week. And just hope that calmer minds play out. Like there's some kind of, I wouldn't say it a conclusion to the U.S. China trade war, but positive outcomes that just plant the seeds for a deal that benefits the global economy, right? That's to me that's my optimist in me that thinks that's what the outcome's going to be. But just take a look at the S&P at highs not seen since before Liberation Day, so crossed over those Liberation Day high levels and at levels not seen since February 26th. So impressive stuff. Uh, who knows where we head from here. I keep the last I guess 2.5 weeks I've been talking about that 586 to 597 range on the SPY. We finally got to 597 today, 597.08 at about 120, and then that was the top so far for today. So once we hit 597, then we had a big drop under 595 at 2 o'clock, and then we've kind of been melting a little bit higher here today into the close. So hopefully market finds some footing here. We don't have any crazy swings. Not much away of catalysts. After the close today, we get CrowdStrike. Uh, and then on Thursday, I believe it's Lulu and it's Broadcom, right? So Broadcom can certainly cause concern if there's some issues in their earnings, or on the flip side, pad the games that we've already seen on some of these names in the semi space. So that'll be a big one. And then Friday is the jobs report for May. So it's surprising. I mean, one of these jobs report are going to come out weak, and everybody's going to say, "I told you so" on the tariffs, right? I mean, all the data that's come out so far is pretty much outside that GDP read, which again was the best worst GDP read of all time. Whatever. I'm being a little sarcastic here, but it was negative. Outside of that, everything else has been relatively strong. So, uh, I would assume that's going to continue. So, you just hope there's no crazy surprises come Friday. So that's kind of like the overall market. I as much as I'd like to see 597 today, I would actually would have preferred like a little slower upside, maybe 594, 595. But we did five support there at 595 here today. We'll see what happens here tomorrow, but hopefully just more tradable trading ranges, and then we get some deals made, or at least more certainty to erase some of the uncertainty that's going on. All right, so that's kind of the overall market. Also, the VIX is lower here today, and yields, which were substantially higher. Actually, they were lower at the open. What am I looking at? They're still slightly in the green. So that's overall market. All right, so now just individual names, and I got those lemonade calls yesterday. I was hoping for some continuation here today. It was actually in the green right at the open, and boom, the bears came in, and it seems like once they smell blood a little bit, they take advantage. They push it all the way down to 35. That 35 handle has been kind of like a battleground so far today. So we got down to 35 in the morning, back up to 36 by noon, back down to 35 just a little while ago, and now we're bouncing here almost back into the green. Still like this one, especially considering it's like they got their chance here today after the big 7% move yesterday to kind of push things lower. I think it heads over $40 in the coming week or two. So I'll continue to hold my calls there. Of course, I wish it was like a gap and run today in continuation of the squeeze, but this might actually be a little better because it might frustrate the shorts, right? And then at some point, then you have to think it adds a little more fuel to the fire. So that's lemonade. W back over the 200-day moving average. Was a little weaker this morning, bounced off to 41. I think it was 41.17 was the lows right after the open. All the way up to 42, nearly 80 at 1 o'clock, and it's right here back at the highest session. I'll continue to hold my June strikes. I'll probably wait till tomorrow to add some more calls. Today's one of those days where names, similar to the last couple last week or so, some of the names I've been looking at to trade, it's like I'm thankful by the end of the day I didn't add the strikes because it would have been a very more frustrating day than already has, right? With some of these names that, I wouldn't say frustrating, but yeah, I mean, I would love to see Lemonade have breaking out ran today. GameStop would have loved to see that breaking out run today, but those didn't happen. It's the same token. I could have added some more GameStop calls or added more W calls or added more lemon, and I didn't do that today. So kind of take it with a grain of salt. So speaking of GameStop, all the way down to $30, bounced just a little while ago at 3 o'clock. I would love to see a green close here. I mean, it just needs 38 cents with 40 minutes left in the day. I don't know if that's going to happen, but small candle here today. So maybe some consolidation after the sell off, and then it can start to head up. And then just some other names. I keep looking at Universal Display and, the 165s. I actually had an order in to get them at 60 cents, no fill. They're up, I think they're 75 cents now. I just don't know if I'm going to, it's not the most liquid name. It's not the most fast moving. And then if the market finds some pressure, this is a name. And, if there Broadcom reports at the end of the week, if I just, I want to have a little more conviction. So I wish there was weekly strikes. There aren't. So I'll just continue to visit. If I see decent risk reward on the 165, those come down again tomorrow. Don't be surprised to add some strikes there. But I think this trade's back over 160 in the coming week or two. So that's kind of the thought process there. Only June strikes on that one. MDB flat as a pancake again today, but the calls are pretty much flat as opposed to being down 25% like they were yesterday. They report tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to try and trade it for premium build tomorrow. The last couple times I've tried to do that, the Walmarts, who else did I do it with? Dell, just those haven't panned out the way I wanted to. So I don't think I'm going to try it again on this one, but yeah, but definitely interesting post earnings. And then some other names, I keep looking at Pool too. It's right at its 50-day moving average. It's having a decent session here today. I was talking about on the watch list the last couple days, looking at those 330s. So uh, they were again similar to Universal Display. I mean, they're 65 by 175. So you take a look at those spreads, it's almost like it's unplayable. And then the thing is, you can get in and maybe put it in the middle, but then if I have to get out, yeah, it's not fun, right? You're automatically losing at the bid if you had to get out of the bid. You kind of want a little more liquid. So I'll continue to be patient there. Yesterday's watch list, I had DocuSign on the watch list for earnings premium build, and probably that was the name I should have got yesterday. Those calls actually don't look too bad. I was looking at the 105s; those were up like 30% from where I was looking at. Me, I would probably lock them in for 30%. So if there's continuation tomorrow, those could be a nice premium build. But I'll probably just sit on my hands here because who knows what happens overnight. And I'm sure I'll get another opportunity tomorrow if I want to do some premium build there. Yeah, VKTX still struggling here at 26 and change. It's funny, some of the smaller cap bio names are running again. You look at Corbis CRBP is up 11%, Turn Pharmaceutical is up 7.7%. Nice article. I don't know if it was a Market Watch Wall Street Journal this morning around small caps, right? This is the type of environment maybe they start to outperform again. And then you look at some of these bio names, kind of a position that was back in 20, I don't know if it was post-COVID or pre-COVID, but a lot of these names have been beaten up so bad they trade at a substantial discount to their cash position, right? So you'll have a company that has $300 million in cash on hand and they're $150 million market cap, which doesn't make sense, right? And I think who's it? Is it Vivek Ramaswamy? He, the biotech fame guy. He has Strive, uh, a fund, right? And that's one of his things that they might start to do is look at some of these distressed biotech names that do have assets too, right? So they have drugs that are in studies, but also have cash positions that exceed the market capitalization, right? And of course, when these companies do buyouts, it's not like they just go and buy it exactly at that face value. Say, oh, we're going to buy them out for $300 million. No, there's lawyer fees, all these fees that go, it's always the middleman, right? That's why all these regulations, it's like stymies a lot of the growth, in my humble opinion. But all right, rants for other days, but definitely some of these smaller cap names, these bio names, I might start looking to nibble again on some of these names. My thought process there on Turn, I love Turn. Corbis, CRBP is a great name. Not only does it have a little play in the GLP-1 space and weight loss, it also has the oncology side. Like it has a cancer, it had positive data for cancer. I don't know if that was last January. I have to go. Anyway, time I got to spend today and tomorrow looking at some of these smaller biocap names, because if the market finds some footing, we get some resolution on some of these trade deals, that could be a sector that certainly starts to take off. Anyway, and not only that, we got the headwind out with RFK, HHS, and all the other stuff that went on, the new FDA chief. So kind of remove some of that overhang. All right, let's have a great day, folks. I'll be back. Rock and roll.